Can you hear me now? I have no musical intro. We'll get a few people online here. Can you hear me? That's the thing right now. I'm going to press that button, see if you can hear me now. We got a few people in the group here. Ezekiel Rodriguez, Jeff Watson, Shadow Star Productions. Just Diggin is in. You want to check out his. Ravenhawk is here. Check out Just Diggin's channel. Ravenhawk's got a great channel. He likes to sing and dance. What I want to know is, can you hear me? I've been tweaking this thing. And we'll give it a minute or so for other people to join us. Now, there will be lag. This thing is going to be buffering for all of us. There are times when this thing drops down to 5 kilobytes per second. I can send mail faster than that. And they're starting to fill in. We're up to 8 people watching. 9, 8. There's Vicky C. Steve Garrett has joined us. Ray Hepburn's in. Ray's up in Canada. Give him a big round for stopping in. Dave Deaver, good to see you. I'm going to try typing into this and see if that helps. And can you hear me now? There we go. I think this thing should be operating at full capacity, which is going to be miserable, I'm sure. And Shadow Star says we're loud and clear. All right. We're 3 minutes after the hour. We're 3 minutes after the hour. Let's get started. We're talking today about what we can find in all that pocket change. You got that can of change, of course. People go through rolls. I got some rolls. You go to the bank, you pick up these rolls, and they got plenty of them. They never run out. They're made for playing with the money. People tear these apart. It's called coin roll hunting. And they go through and look at every penny and they pick out the good stuff and send the rest back to the bank. I see videos where people are taking apart coin rolls and they pick out the silver, they pick out the war nickels, they pick out the wheat pennies, and they send the rest back in a box. There's a lot more stuff in there. Really, the wheat pennies, because I'm going to talk about pennies mostly. The wheat pennies are just an add-on bonus. It's what else is in that box that we're going to be looking at. Let me put that back in there so I don't lose it. We get into die varieties, errors, oddities, and there's plenty of them in there. I guess one guy opened up a roll of pennies. He found a diamond ring in there. It was, had a penny in it. Well, those machines don't always get the doo-doo out. You find washers. Sometimes you find plastic pennies in there. All sorts of things. Let's get into it. Now, I did mention we will experience lag. I've tried some different things. I did not go to my brother's house. There were certain logistic errors there. He doesn't have a table, and I couldn't get this one to reset. So I hooked up the Wi-Fi directly to the computer instead of going, by the Wi-Fi. It's only 6 inches away anyway. But now I got to go in through an extra 10 feet of wire. And that might help a little. But if somebody down the street is watching cat videos this afternoon, you're going to be lagging. So bear with me. You can always watch the video, like in an hour after the show. Let's get started. I got a few announcements. Okay. First off, Justin Couch. I don't know if he's in here. I don't see his name. I want to give him a congratulations. He just reached 20,000 subs. That's a pretty major milestone in the coin video YouTube world. 20,000. I got like 250. I'm pretty happy with that. That works for me. SJ, Sylvia, has just joined us, just in time too. She and I have been talking. We're going to have a challenge. It's a friendly challenge. It's not a bet. There's no one-upmanship. We're not trying to prove, the other one better or worse. We're going to see in the next week how much money we can make selling coins online. We talk about, going through these penny rolls and what you can find and the neat errors. We're going to see how much can you make. I've done polls a couple of years ago. How much money will it take to improve your situation? And I get the answers, $10,000 a month. No, that's not it. Most people, $50 a week is going to improve their situation, and you can do that just selling coins online. People do it all the time. But we're going to see how much can we actually generate and show you and talk about that and go from there. It's not bragging. It's just giving you an alternative, showing it that there's an opportunity out there to improve your situation. Let's see. The coin trivia contest is still up and running. I've been kind of busy. I'm getting to it. But anyway, well, that's another thing altogether. You're going to find down below, if I can point this, I've got some links up attached in the description of the video that you'll be able to click on at some point and get to places that we're going to be looking at, plus Sylvia and Justin Couch, and go from there. Oh, and Beth Coddington's in that list. She won last week. She'll be real happy with that. This week, I got stuff all over the place here. This week we have the official ANA grading standards for United States coins. This is the prize. There will be a test. It's in beautiful shape. You look at the pictures, you compare it to your coin. Okay, my coin is, fine plus. Great book, a staple. Let it become the fiber of your very existence. And I'll set that up here. Also, we have, to go with that, we're going to have 10x loops. Now, I got a bunch of these, of course. It's actually written 30, which is why I got them such a good price. If I can get that out. These are actually written on 30x, but they're not 30x. They're 10x. But they're triplets. The optics are good. I use them all the time. Get one for your house, one for your car, one for work. But the winner of today's contest is going to get the book and a loop and some of these coins we have showing off today. Let me look at this. Okay, we're going to get into coin roll hunting and going through your pocket change and what's in there. Right now, I got a little bare Alaska quarter in here, and this is kind of neat if you get down in there. One of the things you're going to find on occasion are bits of metal that aren't where they're supposed to be. And where's my pointy stick? This one in particular is if I can get in here, it's a die chip, but it's an extra little bit of metal right here that is broken off the die, so every coin made with that die is going to have this extra bit, and it looks like an extra claw. It's a neat little thing. If you're going through just picking out silver, you're going to miss this stuff. And, well, you don't get a whole lot of silver in these rolls, but something like this you're going to find all the time. Not in every roll, maybe 2 in that one, maybe none for several rolls, but you're going to find them. And these babies, they'll go for $1 or $2. There's all kinds of quarters. I just went through a couple of rolls the other day. Where'd they go? Oh, let's see. Is that it? No, that's 2000. There they are. And I pick them out, of course. Sometimes I sort them. Sometimes I just throw them in a bucket and get to them later. And there's a whole bunch of the Ozark River quarters. Now you got these beehives, which is a die chip, much like the Alaska quarter you see. And sometimes it can be a little more extensive in size. And I pull this out, and you'll find this one is right in the notch of the tree up here. And I find them in different places. There's some down here. There's one on the other side. Let's get in there and zoom at that. Now the die chips, they're not particularly valuable, but some people like them. There you go. Well, that's about. I'd have to have a regular one to compare it with, but I put them all back in the bank already. And you'll find it right up here. Second one right here, and there's a third right down there. So this die has just been, well, it's been running for a while, and it's started to break up. And that's the sort of thing you can find. But that's just a start. Die chips are neat, but there's not too much value in them, except in certain situations. And we can get into that. Let me look at my list here. Yeah, I take notes on this stuff. Oh, it's on the other page. Okay, there they are. We have these things on the Lincoln sense called BIE errors, where that die chip appears in the letters BIE in Liberty. Here's one right here. Now, I got my gloves on. If you can't stand to wear gloves, just cut the fingers off. I got all these gloves. Oh, I'll throw a pair of those in too. Where'd those go? Yeah, I got all these gloves, and they are just too damn small for my hands. So I cut them off and just wear the fingertips. It's kind of handy, but I'll put a pack of those in the prize, but they're gonna have all the fingers because I keep cutting them up. Okay, let's look at this buy error. Now these are neat. I sell these anywhere from $1 to I've gotten $11 for them before, and you can see it right here. Just a die chip. I lost my pointy stick. If I can get that in there, you see it right between the B and the E. Now these are pretty interesting. They're recorded. There's a little website called Cuds on Coins. This is not a cud, it's a die chip. But let me take you over to there. And I need screen. Here we go. And this is Cuds on Coins. Let me see if we're actually showing that. Yeah. Good. This is Cuds on Coins. They've got a large list on the left side of all kinds of different die chips, cuds, cracks. But down here, I've got Lincoln Cent buy breaks. And what that's going to take you to is this large list. I mean, you've got them going from, back in the 50s were big years for them, but they extend into the 60s, the 70s, 80s, 90s, right up to date. I mean, you got 2012s that are having these issues, 2014s. But this one I have in front of me is, let's see if I can pull this. How can I get this picture and that picture together? Well, no matter. Let's look back here again. Okay, I'm learning the software, guys, so bear with me. Home scene. There we go. I'm looking at this coin, and I want to match up that chip with what's listed on Cuds on Coins. Here, look, I got to get this right. There we go. I think it's broadcasting. If you're not seeing what I'm seeing, try harder. Okay, here we go. They got several of them listed. These chips can be pretty extensive, going the entire length of the letters. Different shapes, gets a different designation. Here you've got LDB for 1996 is the date, number 2, and that's B because I got a couple of them. But you can follow these down. The one I have in front of me is number 8. I know that because I sent in pictures, and they listed it. And this is the coin that, well, I have under the scope. And I'm going to guess you can see the mouse. This is the little chip, and it goes up along the E. I'm going to go back to the coin itself. If I can figure out how to do this. There it is. And, well, there it is. They're easy to find. They jump right out. A microscope is handy, but really all you need is a magnifying glass. The loops, these will jump right out at you. I've got a few more here just to, well, where'd they go? I had them, I swear. I got all this stuff laid right out, ready to go. Okay, here we go. 95s, I find these all the time. I got another one here. And the better condition they are, this one is a pretty, where's the camera? Well, if you can see that, it'll look be you. And they come in all kinds of different shapes and colors and sizes. But the better the condition, and there's your chip right. Oh, I'm knocking this all over. And that is a tiny chip right at the bottom. That's just kind of starting out. But I found several of these. 95s are easy. Oh, I meant to put these under the camera a little bit longer, unmoved, so you can actually see them. Because apparently what I was doing in the last video was pulling them out too fast. And you get like just a flash, because this thing ain't loading, but I don't know, 5 frames a second. There's no chance to see it. Next one. Now this one's interesting because if you go over to Cuds on Coins, this 94, you don't see it. So when you find them, there it is. This is not listed on Cuds on Coins. Same as the 96 I just showed you before. Uh, when you have a new discovery, send it in to them. They'll print it. All you got to do is send the pictures. All the information they need is right on their website, and they'll take a look at it. Jason Kabulian and some other folks, and if they agree that yeah, that's a new discovery, they'll list it and put your name right beside it, and now you've made a contribution to the hobby. So those are in your pocket change. You might have some right now in your jar. Go get them. But when you get a box of pennies, you can probably find one or two examples. Let's see. Another one that you can find. These are interesting. Sometimes they can be rather extreme. And what happens is here we have a greaser. If I can find the date. And this is probably just the junkiest example I have. But what happens, the grease gets into there. These machines are moving fast. I mean, you can't see it in the videos. If you ever see a video of the mints actually pumping these babies out, they're putting out 10, 12 pennies a second. You know, it takes 1/10 of a second to make a penny. To keep that equipment moving, they add some lubrication to some of these gears in there. Every now and then, you get a little splash. It'll land on the die. And when there's grease in the die, the metal can't get into the die because the grease has no way out. And you end up with these little bits where the details are missing. How does that happen? Well, it's got no place to go. It can't get in there. So you have greasers. And more extreme cases, they'll sell for a few bucks. I've gotten anywhere from $1 to $5 for these babies. People will put these up and sell them. I think the G's a little light up here. People sell these. People collect these. They're a novelty. They don't have a huge amount of value, but they're kind of slick. They're different. They're neat. I've had some really extreme examples, and that'll bring some better money. You know, you get the wheats out of there, and they're good for 3-4 cents a piece. Better dates, maybe 5 cents a piece. The common date wheats, they don't have a lot of value. If you're just picking those out, you're missing all this other stuff. You go through, you pick out the silver. What do we got here? Oh, this is a neat one. 2007? Yes, this is the one. All kinds of different varieties of things going on. Now, sometimes these dies are coming together 10 times a second, and you know, the penny grows in, they slam it. Penny goes in, they slam it, spits out. Maybe something gets jammed and the penny doesn't go in, and they slam. These dies are coming together with no coin in between, no planchet. What's going to happen is they will hit each other and start to leave marks. Okay, if I can zoom in here. And this one's tough to see. There we go, we can get that. Right here, I got George Washington blowing his nose. What do you suppose all that's about? Well, it's 2017. I get a little bit more behind the hair. That's an effigy mound. So what you got here is the grass. Remember, it's the low points that will appear on the other side of the coin. So this is a clash die where the dies came together and left their image, their impression, on the other side of the coin. So we got that sneezing quarter, you know, the sneezing horse. This is what, a sneezing George? $5 I got for that thing. It was $6 actually. It was another one I threw in with it. That's a neat thing. It's as much or better than the silver. Silver, what are you looking at? 12 times face, $3 for a quarter. These go for a little more sometimes. Don't skip, you know, looking at every coin that's in there. You can get a lot more out of there. Okay, now we got the BUs. What's wait till you see this. All right, this is another clash die, but it's not on the back, or not on the front, it's on the back. And let's see if we can pick this one out. If you look close, you can see in the second bay, letter Y. There we go. I think that's about as good as I can get on this. But when you get the letters that appear on the other side of the coins, that's an interesting thing. And there's a shape of Lincoln's head, you know, where his neck is, that also shows up. But this is a little tricky to pick out. But these clash dies, yeah, people like these. These sell front, back, sometimes both. Now with the bays on here, a lot of times what you get on the other side are these little bars. Looks like poor Abe's in jail. And this one does not exhibit it, but you can always look, eh? You see all those little lines going kind of right to left, diagonally? That's where the die has been dressed. It's been polished up and put back into service. Yeah, there we go. Where's that stick? If you look just below his chin, you'll see the remnants of one of those memorial bays. But there are more extreme examples where it's got, I mean, bars going all the way across the coin. Yeah, they sell for a few bucks. I see people that put up, 10, a dozen, 20 varieties at a time, and they auction them off, and they get 20, 30, 40 bucks. Or you could just save those wheats, and they're good for, a nickel. This is the kind of thing that you miss. Now, they come in, these clashes come in every denomination. And it's not, where are you? There we go. You'll see the lines in the back of this. Get my pointy stick. Up here, you've got the base of Roosevelt's neck. You'll be able to follow this around. You get his whole head in here. Comes around up the side. Here's his nose and face. It's in there. And on the front, what you're going to get, you'll get some points. Up here, you've got a bit of a leaf. Over in front of the face, you got more of these leaves. And the obverse is not as clear as the back in this particular example, but you have these bits of extra metal that are the result of the dies that have been deformed because they slammed together. And they're collectible. They're definitely keepers. They're worth a whole lot more than those wheat pennies. Now, don't get me wrong, I like wheat pennies. This whole shelf behind me is just loaded with them. Now we got another one. No, we're on to the BUs. Okay, what's that one? Well, that's the Y. All right, that one's still in a 2x2. Every now and then you're going through these rolls, you find shiners. I mean, they're screaming, bright, brand new. Give them a good hard look. You can get uncirculated coins out of circulation. Now, uncirculated is not a story of the history of the coin. It's a description of the quality of the coin. And this one might actually be a little bit AU because I got some issues there on the jawline. This is 74, and this happens to be a large date, and we'll get into that a little later. But if you can put together a complete set of BU, where's that book I had? There we go. That's a Whitman album right here, and when you fill them up with brilliant uncirculated coins, it really becomes quite an impressive thing. Just the memorials, you can put together a handsome-looking set in a couple of boxes, perhaps. Now, the East Coast, you have a little more trouble with the S mints, but there aren't that many. On the West Coast, you have a little more trouble getting the Philly mints. But when you can put that whole set together, it's nice. Now, I've sold plenty of, there we go. I've sold these before. Had a fellow in Gainesville who would take them. He had a store, and all I did was fill them up. And this is a Whitman folder, book number 2, and goes from 1941 into 1974. And if you can fill these with wheats, they're going to take, 10 bucks, 12 bucks. But if you also continue along and fill that book with a memorial cents, and you can get those out of circulation, you're going to get an extra 5 bucks. Well, if you do the math, there's only about 50 of the darn things in there. An extra 5 bucks, that's 10 cents a coin. That's what the BUs are worth. Meanwhile, you're getting 3 cents for the wheats, and you're picking those out. There's so much more money in there besides just those wheats. Okay, I'm going to move along. We have the different varieties here. Next up is, 1970S. You'll love these. These are real shiny. This one came out of a roll. But when they're nice and new, they're beautiful, man. It's like art. Let's see if I can zoom in on this. Now 1970, just the S. Doesn't count on the D, doesn't count on the P, just the S. You've got two varieties. One is a large date, and one is a small date. Now 1970 is really neat because if you can find the small date 70S, when they look like that, they're worth 10 bucks. Okay, you start getting into uncirculated here. Now you're looking at the height of the 7, where the 7 is it equal with the 1 and the 0. You're looking at how far the tail comes down. You're looking at that 9. That 9 points over here to the 7. That's a small date. Over here, see the 9 points more towards the S. And the 7 is a little low, and the tail goes a little low. Low is large. We call it a mnemonic device. We can zoom in here. Other ways to check, is this the right coin, is look at the shape of the tips of that 9. Over here, you got kind of a point. It's chiseled. Over in the large, it's flat. All right. Well, it's pretty, and you'll want that. But that 70S, this one is probably geez, what? 20 bucks, 30 bucks? It's a whole lot better than a 4-cent wheat. And people are missing these when all they're doing is looking for the wheats. There's so much in these rolls. Now, do you go one coin at a time and then look it up, around online? I sort them up by year so I can, just go through. Oh, that's not it. I had a bag out here. Well, anyway, I pick it out so I have one date I'm going through at a time. This has the advantage of when I'm looking, say, at Variety Vista. Let me pull that up for you. There's a screenshot. There we go. When I'm over here at Variety Vista, and you'll find that link down below, I can go through and just look at, say, the Lincoln cents in 1998, which would be down here. I'm not going to click it because it's going to slow things down when I load that page. But I've got just 1 year in front of me. I already know for a fact that I've got a standard coin in there. So if I got one that's out of place, I've got one right beside it that I can compare with. And I'm going to come back here. That's right. What am I trying to do? All right. Next up is 1960. Now you've got the large date and the small date here. That small date is what you're looking for. And this works on the P and the D, but it's a 1960P. If I can ever get this thing out, this is a large date. Let's see if we can see that. There you go, and that's a nice shiner. The 1960 plain small date is the prize here. Even circulated, they're good for $1. I have totally lost my place. 71, 72, it's 1960. Here we go. Now it's a subtle difference is all you're looking for. But when you have a small date that looks like that, let's see if we can get that in the light. There we go. That's brilliant uncirculated. These would go to $5 to $10 real easily. And let's put these side by side so we can look at the dates. 1960, that's a large date. You look at the size of the 9, it's above the 1. The upper tail of the 6 swoops way over. On the small date, well, the 9's a little low, it's kind of small, and that 6 doesn't swoop much past the that lower loop. Let's see if I can point to that. Okay, the lower loop here is just about in line with that upper loop, and that's a small date. Yeah, these are keepers. Circulated, they're $1. Better condition, they can get into 2, 3, 5, 10 bucks. Now, if you're just picking out the wheats, are you missing something? Now, I've got nothing against wheats. Now I've got to try to put these back in. Every time I do this, I end up with pennies all over the desk, and then it takes me an hour to put them away. Got to see that desk behind me. That'll take me several days. Okay. 70, 60. Other small dates, 1974, P, D, and S, but nobody cares about them because they're pretty equal. Nothing stands out there. 1982 has large and small. It's got it in copper. It's got it in zinc. The big one there is what, 82D in zinc? No, copper. But so far, I think there's been one discovered. Yeah, it's worth good money, but I'm not going to go through and weigh. Where's that scale? You know, you want to check copper and zinc. Whoa, never mind that. Well, you get yourself a scale, and I've got these, of course. I've got several of these. They're pretty handy. This one goes to 200 grams, so you can put, you know, big tokens on there. It's got 0.01 is the base, so I can measure the difference between a grain of rice. These are available as well. I'll get into that a little later. But those large and small dead copper and zincs, you need a scale to check those. If you find one, yeah, you're going to pay your light bill for the rest of the year. No question about it. Now, we get into die varieties. You want to take a break and answer some questions here first? Because I want to check on, see what's going on here. Couch is going to reach 50K. Yes. I'm going to look over here. Stream health is good. I don't know if you guys are lagging, but I'm expecting it. Big boy is showing up. I've got Beth Coddington has come in. How you doing, Beth? She just got a package. She's our last week's winner. I'd show you the book, but I sent it to her. That was similar to this week's with the A&A grading standards, but she got photo grade. Copper coins. This is Big Boy asking how much does the copper weigh? 3.11 grams. In 1982, of course, they switched over to the zinc core, and it's 2.5 grams. Now these little scales are more than capable of measuring that difference. Okay, we're going to get back into it. Next up, we're looking at some double dies. What's that I'm looking at? Oh, there's a BU quarter. Yeah, sometimes you can find some real sweet ones in there. That's a 1977. It's got a mark on it somewhere. That might be it. Okay, that's pretty good shape. But you can put together a decent set of moderns. Ooh, you're going to like this one. You pick out the wheats, you don't look at these. If you're going to pick out 1 year, I suggest in 1972. There are 22 different double die varieties on this date. Now the double die is when they're making the die. They get the hub and they jam it in. They warm up this piece of steel over here and they jam the hub, the working hub, into the working die to make that impression. And they do it a couple of times to make sure. But what happens if it twists? Then you end up with some doubling. Now this one is number 3 out of the 22. The big one's number 1, and that's worth a couple of $100. But if we zoom in here, we can show you exactly what doubling looks like. Now the difference between doubling on the die and mechanical doubling is the thickness of the letters is increased when the die is doubled versus the hub doubling. Let me get that out of the way here. So you end up with, as you can see, in the I and the N, I've got extra metal. I've got like a close friend on the I and the N. The G-O-D, same thing. We shows up very well. If it twists enough while in between hubbings, you'll have separation of the letters almost distinct and complete. The 1955 double die is an example. But this one, I found in a roll. And it's probably good for an easy $5. You can see what it does to the thickness of the letters here in the T. I mean, what is that, 1.5 feet wide? It's big. But over here, hardly any at all. It's because the way it'll shift around a pivot point. You'll see K, the letter K, like this is a K5, right? It shifts and pivots around like, 5 o'clock. When you see a K number, that's the time on the clock around which it shifted. Alrighty, so this shifted down below around 5 or 6. So it's K5 or K6. I'd have to look it up exactly. And I've got a better one of these to look at if you really want to see some shiners. Got a little whole box of them here. Where is it? I really did have these out. Well, that's 2009. I don't know what that is. Nope, that's not it. Nope, 71. 72, there it is. Now, this one is in much better shape. I go through these BU rolls. You know, I pick up a whole roll for $4 or something and go through them. So I get BU coins. And just look at this baby. Well, okay, it's a little bit smudgy, but that's the same variety as we just looked at, only in much better shape. We got good luster on this one. A whole lot less wear. And when the die is doubled, every coin produced with that die is going to have the same features. Let me put the shiny one on top of the circulated one, and let's see if we can see how identical this is. This could be tricky. W, E. See, I move it a little tiny bit with my finger, and it goes halfway across the screen. There you go. And you can see here, well, I hope, the nature of these double dies being identical. It's the same die that made them. We can look at the R, where you've got separation line on the left side, the same on the top as on the bottom. You can look at the T, the bottom line of that T. I can find my poker. Let me try twisting that. You see this extra thickness on the bottom of that T, on the vertical. Is that vertical? Yes. And on this one, identically matching. This would make some a die variety and collectible because everybody can have one of those. Well, maybe not everybody, but hundreds of people, thousands maybe. The more rare it is, the more valuable it is, so not everybody can have one of these. I have two. But if you want to fill that 72 double die hole in your album, get into these and look for them because they're out there. Okay, what's this one? ODV 028, 1971. And I have it out, so there must be something here. Let's look at the date. There it is, 1971. And again, we're going to look in God We Trust. And you can go over to Variety Vista and look this up if you want to get these numbers right. But again, on N, for example, you've got this separation line on the right side. If you look at the hook of the G, there's no way that's like twice as wide as it needs to be. So you know you've got something here. If you can't see all that well with the loops and the equipment you have, just seeing the extra thickness should be a flag for you. And you'll have separation lines on the W and the E. You can see here in the upper right of the W. And these go all the way around. If I can give that a little bit of a twist, you can see also notching almost. Say on the top of that U. It's difficult. We're getting into tiny detail at this point. But you'll have notches in some of these devices. Let me leave that there. You can look at that while I get the next one out. And those notches are a big indicator that something's up with that coin. What's this one? Okay, this one might help too. If it's not notched, it'll be angled. And here's well, it doesn't have the date. I'll look at the penny. 2011. And you can see this one easily on the date. 2000, that's not it. 2011, this thing, you got 50 of them in your pocket right now. Right now. And you can see the difference in the shape. Now, the way the circles come together, don't look at the outside, look at the inside, because when you have a circle that has been jammed and repunched, instead of being round, you're going to have cusps. So you're going to have points, as you can see at the top on the inside of the O, and over here at about 5 o'clock on the inside of the O, where they're pointed. You're looking at the slopes on the bottoms of these letters. If we can get in a little more, we should be able to pick out how easily the slope. But the area you're looking at is the top of the letter, or the bottom of the letter, or how thick is that letter. You can see the tube over there is a whole lot wider than it should be. We come over here and look at Liberty, and I'm going to move it very gently. And well, it's a pretty sloppy photo, but you can see the distortion of the letters. And at the B on the upper left, select a corner in there where it comes up, takes a right, then goes up again because it's been stamped, and then or punched and then repunched when making that die. And the Y, again, you can see it where you get a large, thick left side and a narrow bit on the right. Now, let me get these put away before I end up setting my coffee on them. But that 2011 book value on that says 50 bucks. 50 bucks? Yeah, some of these go for really good money. Now, I told you I go through these BU rolls. The other day I found 3 of these. Some are easy, some are, man, how do you get that? This is a tough one. And we got 1961. That's great. Now I look at the whole coin, look all around, study it, get right in there, squint with one eye, hold one hand up in the air. And if you look here, this one is tough. The top of the L, if I can get my pointy stick, the top of the L, just that little bit right there, and there's another on the I. Boy, this is a hard one to see. But this is a double 9 number 8. And on the top of the I, it may be a bit much for this. You can see it with a loop. But the top of the L really stands out. All right, so I went to Copper Coins looking this up. And, well, he says there's a big die groove, big dent, right in the spot underneath Liberty. So I go to Variety Vista, I'm looking at it. He says, yeah, there's a big groove here. And I go over to Wexler, and I'm looking at it. He says, there's a big groove in the first stage. Over time, these dies, they wear out, they change, they replace the back. Different things happen. Things will appear. You'll get a dent that will appear in the die. This one doesn't have the groove. The other 2 sites, Variety Vista and Copper Coins, say it should have a groove, but they didn't go into the later or earlier die stages. So this is a different die stage, but it's still the same. I lost my holder. Okay, I'll set that one here. Oh, that's right. But I found 3 of them, which is kind of neat. You go through a roll and you get 3 coins that are good for, $5 bucks. But we want to see what we can get out of our pocket change. All right, you get them. You got these double dies in the front. You get them on the back. And here we got a 2009 penny. A lot of people want to look at these. I found only a couple of these. Sometimes it depends on where you live. Those clash dies in the quarters where it looks like he's blowing his nose. I'm finding several of those, but these 2009s are evading me. And this best match is with number 88, and I'm not going to be able to show it here, but it's right there. Go in front of the thumb and head for the book. But there are 100 different varieties on this, and there's the book binding, and that pointy stick is not pointy enough. And this tiny bit of metal extra, if you go left from the thumb and look at the binder in the book, you'll see an extra bit of metal. And that's it. That's what all the fuss is about. And people will pay a few bucks for this. You get them out of pocket change. Now, how many weeks would you have to go through to get a couple of bucks worth? DDR number 8. What is that? Oh, number 5 on a 1998. And you're looking for whams. Look at these 2. This one was made upside down. Now, these are real simple to find. I did another video to show you how easy these are and what to look for. Am I finding this right? Now, these are hard to show up on the camera. If in person, they'll jump right out at you. Actually, getting to work on the camera is a trick. No, I'm not going to be able to show this. It's just not bold enough. But in and around that statue, you're going to find bits of extra metal. It's the columns that have doubled. And yeah, here it is on the left side. You've got an extra bit of shadow. That one's just not good enough to show. But these things go for $1 or $2 a piece. Now, if you're getting 10 wheats out of a box, and they're good for 4 cents, it's 40 cents out of a box. You get one of those, you make up as much out of that one as 2 boxes of wheats. And you'll find several of these in a box. Let's find a different DDR that's handy. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. I'm in the wrong section. Oh, there's a neat one. Okay, this one shows up better. This is a 2000. I'll explain the WAMs in just a minute. Because when you're going through the 2000 is the date, 2000. When you're going through 2000s and 98s, well, take an extra moment and glance over at old Abe there. Now on the lower right in your screen of the statue, the lower right, you see this little slash mark. If I can get to it, this little line right in front of my pointy stick. That's a piece of a double column. Now that's a double die reverse. If you're looking for the WAM, which I'll get to in a second, well, just give it a glance and you'll find these. Now let's find that WAM next. There's one. Remember the toothpick? I got that in a holder. I'm going to jam it in, roll that around. My penny's going to drop right out. I'm going to getting away from these cardboard holders. Because if I'm going to take pennies out and take a look at them, I want to be able to put them back in. I can't do that when they're stapled shut, so I'm going with the vinyl flips. And I'll explain that in a video one time. You want the unplasticized. Okay, this is a 2000, and normally it's going to have the A and M. The A and M will be right close together. Let me pull that other one out I just had with a DDR. These are both 2000 date. So you see one has A and M, has a space, and one, they're close together. Let me line that up a little better. Almost. Tap it. This is a wide AM and a close AM. And that's it. There's a couple of other distinctive marks on there, like the designer's initials and the space between the A in states, between the T's and the A. But that wide AM on 98, 99, and 2000, that bottom one, that's a $5 coin at least. Rarely do I see them sell for less than $5, and I've seen them sell for $22.50, $30. I get one of these these wide AMs every 3 to 4 boxes. I find one. I've seen people find 2 and 3 in a single box. But look for them. You're also looking at the distance between the F and the G. Oh, there's another one to show you. Where'd that go? There's another WAM. That was a little bit better shape. All right. Here's a neat one. This is 1988. And this one has the reverse of 1989. Well, in 1988 was the last year of the old design. Let's see if I can get these up here. Right? And these 1988s, that's the one up top. That has both the previous design and the design used in 1989 had a gap between the A and the M. It's the WAM design. So all your 99s that's the WAM, have that design. But I'm going to go down and look at the FG, because on the 88s, if you have the little serif, and I'm gonna focus there. If you've got that little horizontal line on the G, yeah, I need a much pointier stick. You'll see that little horizontal line on the inside of the G, and he's got a little tail down here. Okay, that's the same design as the WAM, which is this one down here, which I don't have the FG. Boy, this is tough to work with these little spaces. There it is. There you go. That's the same G. That's the one on the bottom is the 2000 WAM, 2000 wide AM. The one on the top is the 1988 with the WAM reverse. And that's probably a $10 to $20 coin. I've seen them go for even more, but it's got pretty good luster. It's AU. It's not awesome, but boy, it's pretty slick. Now, how many wheats would you have to go through to make up for just that one coin? Now, these transitional designs, that's what this is, as they transition from one design to the next, and the die gets used, that's supposed to be used in a proof coin. Okay, this one's really neat. There's more than just pennies out there. This is a 1970 D Roosevelt Dime. But what set this one apart, I'm going to have to set this penny here, is these grooves in the top of the flame on the back. This one sets it apart. We don't know how much these are worth because they don't trade enough. This is RDV number 2, reverse design variety number 2. So it's the reverse of 1968, but it's on our 1970 dime. And this is die number 2 out of 3. There are 3 different dies used. We don't know how much it's worth. $5, $10, 20, 100. There's not enough of them being traded to establish a consistent price. I'll leave that right there while I get the next one out. But if you can find those grooves in the flame, you've got a keeper. 352. I'm looking at the clock over here. All right, let me speed things up and get you something quick, because I know some of you got to pick up the kids at soccer or something. It's Saturday. There are repunched mint marks, cuts, cracks, chips, off center. We're going to look at the mint mark on this 1960D. You can get this in your pocket change. And if you look at the left side, you've got another D sticking its head out. Well, it's not supposed to have that. It's supposed to be a single clean D. I might be too closely zoomed in. Now, before 1989, these mint marks were applied to the working die by hand. A guy would have, where's my pen? He would have a tool. He would actually set it on the die and smack it with a hammer. And that would create this repunched mint mark. Because if he bounced, or if he didn't like it, he'd do it again. And one mint mark would oftentimes cover another. And up through 1989, you get a lot of them. Some are really subtle. All you have is these little splits at the corners of the mint mark, maybe on the the point of the S, so the the little corner of the D. Some of them jump right out. This is 1960. This is number 5. Now these 1960 D mint mark, repunch mint marks, there's 120 different ones. I got another one here, but I'm kind of getting short on time. Here's RPM number 1. This one jumps right up. Let me see if I can get this out. And I'll set that there for now. And this one's not as easy to see, but you're looking at these little lines. It's not like you have 2 Ds, or is it? There you go. Look above the D. There's some bright marks in this shot, but if I can get the camera right, the guy hit put the mint mark in and he missed. So he did it again, but the second time he did it, he shifted it. So right above the mint mark, between the D and the 9, you have a very faint D in there. Some of these are a little bolder, some are not as bold, but definitely get into that. These are good money. That 1960 D I showed you, the first one, is probably good for $5. This one, probably good for $5. That's the S. I think that's what I've got here picked out. So I timed that out right. Now let's do this giveaway, because I know a lot of people are interested in that. I got stuff all over the place here. Okay, we have a book, the official A&A grading standards for United States coins. It's in beautiful shape. Read it, learn to love it, and we're going to put a loop with that. We have it's Mark 30X, but that's a 10X loop, and we have a pair of gloves and some of these coins we saw. Okay, where is that? I had the question. Here's the test, and I've got to get over to the chat, so let me get that pulled up. Oh, Victor's here. Victor just found a 1985 RPM Kennedy. Outstanding, Victor. There is stuff out there. And if all you're doing is picking through for silver, you're going to miss that stuff. That RPM is probably worth more than the silver coins. You know, for all the work you put into re-rolling the coins, going to get them, dropping them off at this bank, picking up at that bank, go through for these varieties because that's where the money is. $5 for a penny, she'll take it. Get it, Beth. It's probably a good deal. Okay, the question for today. What's the last year a Lincoln cent was made with a weight of 3.11 grams with 95% copper? Let's see if we heard that right. What is the last year the Lincoln cent was made with 95% copper with a weight of 3.11 grams? Now answer that. This is a giveaway. Yes, we're giving this book right here, this one. All you got to do is answer that question, and that baby will be yours. What was the last year a Lincoln cent was made with 3.11 grams with 95% copper? Now I'm a little bit behind you folks. So just enter any date. Maybe you'll get it right. We got some answers coming in. What's the last year a Lincoln cent was made with 95% copper? And I'm looking for the right answer. It's normal design for that year, for that particular date. When's the last time they made it with 3.11 grams? We're going to have to do a second question, I think, on this. 82, 81, 83, these are good. They're real good. That's the normal years that they did the transition to zinc. A lot of people don't know about this. Let me see if I have one here. I know I've got one here. Bear with me. Well, I don't have it. Well, I don't have one. Okay. No, that was still in the box. I thought I had some. All right, we're going to learn something today. Here we go. Anybody get this one yet? Has anybody guessed 2009? All right, we'll have another question. In 2009, this one you might not have known. In the mint sets and the proof sets, the coins made for the mint sets and the proof sets were made with 95% copper and 3.11 grams. Now, the regular business strike 2009s were zincons. They're junk. But these, the satins and the proofs, they're original copper. They made them special for the mint sets and proof sets. Okay. That's one of the neat things you don't know about every time. Now, the other satins and proofs, they're all 3.11. Okay. I need a different question right off the bat. When did they switch over to these shield cents? What's the first year they made a shield cent? We'll make that our question. You want the book? Tell me when they first made the shield cent. First one gets it. Lincoln's, they had a memorial, and later on they had a shield. But way back they had the wheat cents. What's the first year they made shield cents? We'll just throw it a number. It's true. Now Zeppo Young has just won this book. Zeppo, over here, beside my head, you're going to see my email address. I need you to send me your shipping address because you got a book, some gloves, a loop, and some pennies coming at you. Zeppo Young has got it. Yeah, there's all kinds of trivia. That 3.11 gram 2009 cent, that's one of those little things they throw at you, the mint. They're always changing something. That's one of the coin axioms. Well, congratulations, Zeppo. We're going to have this shipped out for you quickly. Just when you get time, there it is. Oh, while I'm at it, I've got plenty of loops. If you want loops, they are $3 a piece. If you want 2 loops, it's $5.50. A little perk there. Now there's $3 for shipping. I have scales available. I've got about a dozen of these babies. They work beautiful. They take 2 AA batteries. I can't ship them in there because it sends the weight over. Just pull off the back and there's your batteries. And these are $7 a piece. They're good scales. They're fairly standard, easy to use, and they hold up. Don't drop them on the floor, like I do. But they're good scales. And again, you can get a hold of me over here at kpev@live.com and get some loops, get a scale. This is I figured I'd just offer these scales to you folks first because, well, you're watching. And I'll set that back there. But I got vinyl flips. I've got all kinds of things. I hope to do a market show on Sunday afternoon, but I'm going to check with how this thing worked, see if I've got a good enough stream that I can pull it off, or if I have to record it and then broadcast that. So if you get any questions, well, I'd love to hear them. Jeffrey Watson, I'm sorry you lagged for the second question. Better luck next time. Lots of congratulations for Zeppo. Flea Market Coin Hunters. Victor says that's a 1960 FS 101. Maybe. Let's see. Cherry Picker's Guide, Volume 1. Oh. See, this is why I say get the book. You get the 8-8 grading standards. Get the Cherry Picker's Guides. I'd love to get some more of these. Let's look up 1960. FS 101. 1960D. No, FS 501 is what that is. The 101 would be a double die. The 501 would be an RPM. So there's that the one coin, and they're saying in MS63, 5S has $10 listed for that one RPM I showed you earlier on. Now these prices in here, these are probably 10 years old. But RPMs, people like them. They're collectible. They're highly collectible. I know one guy, he's got, I think, 104 out of the 120 different RPMs for 1960D. Joe Miller says, hi, how are you? Good to see you. Shay Hoffmaster, how much premium should combination varieties add? Now we're getting into weird stuff, all right? Well, let's say I've got this in front of me. Here we go. When I start getting compound varieties, let's say a 1960D with an RPM, but also it's got a clip on the side. Now we're getting into really interesting stuff, and the price goes up dramatically and very quickly. Now, any coin can have MD. That doesn't count. Any coin can have, say a woody planchet, especially before 1963 when they took the tin out. But if you got a woody RPM, that's more value because it's more unique, it's more interesting, and it can be more beautiful too. But when you start getting compounds, there's die varieties and there's these errors that can happen. And when you have a die variety with an error, yeah, it gets neat real quick. Vicky has a scale. It is great. Great, get a scale. Now, if you'd like to support the channel so we can give out better books, I've got an email address up here. And you can PayPal. I'm just buying books, right? Everybody else gives away coins. I want to give out books. Get the book before the coin. There's all kinds of books you can get. Oh, let's see, the red book. I've got one right here. Very handy. You don't have to worry about getting the most up-to-date book. This one is 2015 hardcover. It's going to hold up. How much did the price change on a 1910 V-nickel in fine condition in the past 5 years? The prices are pretty solid. You can get in a ballpark with those. Excuse me. But there's lots of information on here. You know, the weight of this penny, the weight of the 1982 penny in zinc, the weight of the 1909 penny in proof. Oh, what do you know? There's a difference there. It's 3.11. But there's plenty of information out here, so and that's the craft aspect. If you learn the craft, you've got an advantage. You can find stuff, identify stuff. You can tell what's different, what's special. Let me find out. I'm way behind here. Okay, Shay, I'm still on Shay's question. For example, a small date 60 RPM with a lamination error and it's also woody. Yes, Shay, that will be, that's a keeper for sure. And if there are any more questions, what happened? I think I screwed something up. There we go. Well, folks, I want to thank you for stopping in. It's 4 o'clock. That's a good hour for the class. But I want to thank Mud SWAT for stopping in, and I'm going to give you some superpowers while you're here. If I can make this work. There you go. Zeppo. Zeppo, I need your shipping address. What's going on here? I got people that I've encountered in a lot of these groups, and we're gonna give you some superpowers, whether you want it or not. But every now and then we get some people that show up and start running their mouth and saying stuff that they don't need to be saying around here. Well, just boot them up. There we go. There's a couple more added. Maury Veal has entered the group here. I just see you. Way to go, way to go. I'm not able to make this thing work most days. Now use these superpowers. Don't delete each other. That's rude. And we'll go from there. Now, if there are subjects you'd like to hear more about, get right into it for an hour. Because all I did here was just kind of show you the sorts of things. There's more stuff. There are cuds. There are out of collar strikes. There's the grease strikes which are really severe. There's wrong planchet where they made a penny but they stamped it with a dime die or nickels that went through the quarters. You've got the wrong planchet where it's a Canadian coin that was stamped, or they made a dime on a Canadian planchet and the weights are off. Or you got foreign planchets because the United States makes coins for other nations. So over there in the mint, they got all kinds of, hoppers and buckets and bags and sacks and stuff. Lots of things going on, and every now and then something pops into the wrong spot. Mud SWAT, he's a troll swatter. But the different kinds of things. Oh, I meant to tell you, keep notes. It's class, so you keep notes. I keep notes on every date. This is them. Let me pull this up, make sure I'm seeing it. This is notes, right? Every date. I've got 1961, right? That tells me what to look for, for each date, for doubling, for RPMs. Look at Liberty. Look at the face. Concentrate on the R in America. And they're supposed to be in order, but they get out of order. There you go. But if I'm, today I'm looking at 1962D. I can go through my list, my set here, and I've got my notes on 1962D. And if you do this, I want to see your notes. But Wexler's got stuff, Varieties has got stuff, copper coins. Lincoln sent, that one group. Lincoln sent resources. There's sporadic information here and there, but there's not a standard repository for all this. When Wexler dies, his stuff will go into, the archives. Can you find a Crawford book around? No. That's why it's important to take these notes. When you encounter when you hear about a new die variety, just write it down real quick, so you don't lose it. These are incredibly handy. Some of these are great. 1940s. I know I've got two different mint marks on there to use. It says doubling in the date, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," and on the outer devices. And on the reverse, I want to look at EPU and the ends of the wheat stalks. Different dates in here. I know what to look for in 1968S. And I've gone through, Wexler and all that, and, taken notes from that. But take notes. It makes you more professional. It'll be good. Oh, I got one more I wanted to add. Let's see. That's not it. Look at this. I think we're looking pretty good here. I want to leave you guys with a bit of wisdom. I want to try this out. There's nothing you can't do. And as soon as you believe that, it becomes true. Okay, folks? I'm going to sign off, and we'll see you again next week. If you got something you want to talk about, send me an email. It's right up there.